day, last day of developing and cultivating Samata with Dr. Monica Girotti. We stop the session and just step back into a few moments of silence.
So we'll continue the moment of silence, and we'll take refuge in the Guru, in the Masters, in the scriptures, good words, enlightening words. Understanding the importance, the preciousness of this human birth, precious human birth, where we have the opportunity to practice. There are favorable conditions to practice. And we practice for ourselves and the benefit of others. So today I'm going to just speak a few words and lines from Dhammapada and Sri Aurobindo's words on yogic equality, and we can remain in the calm meditative state and just listen to these words, these lines, and reflect, just take them in for contemplation. So first I'm going to just take Sri Aurobindo's words on equality. Equality is not mere quiescence and indifference, not a withdrawal from experience, but a superiority to the present reactions of the mind and life. It is the spiritual way of replying to life, rather of embracing it and compelling it to become a perfect form of action of the self and spirit. It is the first secret of the soul's mastery of existence. When we have it in perfection, we are admitted to the very ground of the divine spiritual nature. Equality, Samata, does not mean the absence of ego, but the absence of desire, what we were discussing in the other days, craving, but the absence of desire and attachment, craving and clinging. The ego sense may disappear or it may remain in a subtilized or dense form. It depends on the person. So, samatha is the absence of desire and attachment. If we have desires, if we have attachment, we will see that the mind cannot remain stable. It is impossible for both of them to exist together. A condition of perfect samatha can be established in which one sees all as equal, friends and enemies included, and is not disturbed by what men do or by what happens. Equality is the chief support of the true spiritual consciousness, and it is this from which a sadhak deviates when he allows a vital movement to carry him away in feeling, speech, or action. So, this brings us to what we were discussing again the past 2 days, virtuous conduct, because if we engage in false speech, false action of body, any action of body, speech, and mind, where we make false actions like killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, divisive speech, hate speech, harsh speech, abusive words, uh, malicious intent, ill will, harmful intent, wrong views while you are not able to align yourself with the laws that are operating in nature, wrong views. So, all these uh, cannot function together with equality. So, he says equality is the chief support of the true spiritual consciousness, and it is this from which a sadhak deviates. So, we have to see that at the base of everything, at the base of so our true self is in equality. The consciousness that knows, it is in immutable equality. But the moment I identify with any surface movement which is disturbing, which is negative, I sway away from equality. So now it is a choice that I have to make, whether I keep on, continue making the same mistakes again and again, or I reclaim my greater kingdom. So we don't have to allow the vital movements which can be there to carry him away from feeling, speech, or away in feeling, speech, or action. So anything which deviates from that will take us away from samatha. Ill will, sloth, torpor, laziness, false speech, gossiping, attachment, aversion, me, mine, this belongs to me, this is mine. All these are things which cannot go together with samatha. There can be no firm foundation in sadhana without equality, samatha. Whatever the unpleasantness of circumstances, however disagreeable the conduct of others, you must learn to receive them with a perfect calm and without any disturbing reaction. These things are the test of equality. It is easy to be calm and equal when things go well and people and circumstances are pleasant. It is when they are the opposite that the completeness of the calm, peace, equality can be tested and reinforced, made perfect. So, this again. So, there is this little booklet that I have, Yogic Equality, where Sri Aurobindo talks about equality of the prana, the vital, and this is, we have touched upon these a little uh, in the beginning of our sessions. For example, Sri Aurobindo talks about equality of the vital, prana. He says, perfect equality, not only for the self, but in the nature, is a condition of the yoga of self-perfection. So not only we in the inner being are able to see the arising of samatha, because in the inner being when we touch, the samatha is naturally there. Not only that, but we have to bring it in the surface consciousness in which we usually are interacting in life. Not that the surface consciousness remains maligned and full of ill will and hatred, and we, from time to time can go deeper where there is samatha, but that would not work for us. That doesn't work. So first we touch it deeply in our deeper being, in our core, and then we bring those movements which are in alignment with the proper laws of nature, law of impermanence, law of karma, for example. That if I have hate in my mind, it's impossible that I can be in samatha, because immediately I will have the effect of it where the mind will be disturbed. So slowly in the surface movements, we bring that kind of clarity, luminosity, and proper movements which are in alignment with the inner truth. So he says that perfect equality not only of the self, not only of the deeper being, but in the nature, in the movements of Prakriti, our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, our intentions. The first obvious step to it will be the conquest of our emotional and vital being. So this we were again discussing, that if we keep on craving that this outer world will give me happiness, lasting happiness, then it is impossible that attachment and aversion don't arise. And that would be calming of the emotional being if I'm able to understand it completely through insight, through meditation, and through mental reflection, that the outer world cannot give me anything lasting. So I have to stop running after this and that, so that the emotional being can settle down and draw its energy from the inner space. So he says that the first obvious step to it will be the conquest of our emotional and vital being, for here are the sources of greatest trouble, the most rampant forces of inequality and subjection, the most insistent claim of our imperfection in the vital. We might say that equality is the very sign of liberation. How beautiful. So if I am truly liberated from the bondage of this world, that this world cannot give me any lasting happiness, now I have realized it imperfection in my being. Equality is a side product, is a like a byproduct of that. It's the first sign of true liberation. So this we can check whenever we are swayed and puppeted away by happenings of life, by people and reactions of people to our interaction with them. If we are swayed still by that, then it means that there is still somewhere deep within me some hidden hope that I can get something from this world. So our true ease and peace and ananda and delight, all that has to come from within. We cannot depend on anything in this world for a lasting contentment. And then slowly we see that changes happen, and changes are not only in the inner being, but they come on the surface, and on the thoughts, on the feelings also we see a stark difference. So now let me read something from Dhammapada, where there are beautiful verses. If nowadays we can find everything on YouTube or internet also, many PDFs may be available of Dhammapada. So a few verses, conjugate verses from Dhammapada. I will be just using the English translation here. The night is long for one who is awake. The distance to go is long for one who is tired. Journeying on is longer for the ignorant who do not know the true doctrine. So if we keep on practicing, we have the way in front of us, we have the methods and tools in front of us, we see that it's actually simple. It's not very simple, but it's simple. It's not that complicated that we can't walk on the path. So he says the journeying on is longer for the ignorant who do not know the true doctrine, the true path, the true principle. Then another verse, knowing the essential to be essential, the unessential to be unessential, they attain the essential, living with the right intention. A man may conquer 1,000 times 1,000 men in a battle, but if one conquers oneself, one indeed is victorious in the battle. Hunger is the greatest disease. Conditioned existence is the greatest suffering. Experiencing this as it is truly results in nirvana, the greatest happiness. So basically, nirvana meaning release from the bondages of life, in a sense that we stop craving, we stop seeking that happiness from outside. So for those of us who are interested, they can, I think, continue reading, reflecting from Mother Sri Aurobindo's Yogic Equality, and also these verses from Dhammapada, which personally I feel they're very, very helpful, and they just show us our face in the mirror. So anything here? Anyone wants to add on or share? Okay, so if not anything, then we can talk about hindrances that may come while we practice. So we can continue to practice, first of all, the stability on the breath. We will do the practice today also. And even if when we are interacting with the world at all times, if one end of our being can be connected to the body with the breath, if I'm talking, for example, right now, if I'm interacting with you, or in the world, in at workplace, in family, if one parallel consciousness can be connected mindfully to the breath, then we can always be aware of where I am acting from. I am acting from craving, I am acting from aversion, I am acting from agitation, restlessness, because we'll feel that in the body. It's only when we are not connected to we cannot feel these things. But when we are connected, and if we see agitation present, for example, if we see lots of restlessness present while we are acting or making a decision, then we can choose to step back, and in calm we make a decision, whatever has to be said or done in that case. But if I'm not mindful of the breath, if the mind is not present in the body, then get swept away, and there is nobody to tell us that we got swept away, swayed away. And for that we only regret and then come back to it after some time, which is also okay. But if now we want to stay connected, then a parallel consciousness can always stay in the body with the sensations of the body, how I'm feeling in the body, and the best connection for that is the breath. Breath keeps us in the body. So taking it forward, we can extend these in the day-to-day life. Then other hindrances are, we will see that whenever I am hoping for something to happen in life, I won't be able to concentrate the mind on breath. The concentration will not be stable, because these are all hindrances in concentration or samadhi. These are all hindrances, hopes, desires, ill will, hatred, anger, attachment to me and mine. all these are considered as hindrances, doubts, and they will not let us be on the straight path. And of course, after some time, we can take a detour and come back. Always there is an option. But just to be aware that these are the possibilities which will arise from time to time. And they go against samatha. They don't let the samatha come on the surface being. Because old patterns and tendencies, if we buy into them, if there are still promises from the world and I get swept away in those promises, the old patterns will take me away from the deeper samatha, and then I can after some time come back. So staying close to the breath, very, very helpful. Then time to time we will get entangled in this or that situation in our life. And whenever we get attached or entangled, we can remind ourselves of the impermanence of things. We can remind ourselves of that this world cannot give us anything lasting, whether they are your children, they are your spouses, husbands, wives, family, most closest of your friends, your spiritual uh, friends, whatever, the name that you can give them. But nothing lasting can come from this world which is fleeting. Lasting is only to be found within. So we can remind ourselves of that law of impermanence. And whenever we go against that law, we want to cling to things, we want to crave that this should stay, this should not go away. We will see that there is no concentration, purity we have lost, and hence there is no stability in the being, and we have lost the samatha. We have gone as if far away from that. Also, we need to understand that every action that we do with a malicious intention, karma is not an act of kindness from outside. Karma is intention. What is the attitude that I have? So, any action done from a malicious intent, a manipulative intent, wanting name, fame, pride, wanting to be respected, or wanting to manipulate someone, although the outer action may seem very beautiful, karma is intention, we have to remember. So if I do such actions in body, mind, and speech, again I, as if I commit a crime to myself, and hence the byproduct, as a law, the byproduct is that I'm not stable in my concentration. We can remind ourselves of the 8 worldly concerns whenever I'm running towards praise, running towards pleasure, running towards fame, running towards gain. Whenever I'm doing that, I will be not concentrated, I will be derailed, agitated, restlessness will be there. And whenever I'm doing the opposite, running away from the pain, running away from blame, not wanting it, aversion to all these negative things that I don't want in my life, again agitation, and I will be derailed from stability and concentration. Samatha cannot come along with anger, attachment, and ignorance. It cannot come. It's like they don't exist together. Anger, attachment, and aversion and ignorance, they all can prevail only when ignorance is there. So attachment, aversion, anger, jealousy, all these negative disturbing emotions, they can prevail only when there is ignorance, when I don't know my true self, when I'm not identified as my true self, when I'm identified with the movements of the prakriti, which are these negative states mostly that we encounter. So whenever samatha is there, it means ignorance cannot exist. Samatha and ignorance don't go together. If I've lost the samatha, I'm feeling that I've lost that that equality it means definitely I have fallen back into some or the other kind of ignorance. And this falling back and forth will continue unless we have a beautiful total arising of wisdom and understanding, what we in other words call enlightenment, because then the u-turn is not possible. But if right now we walk on the path, time and again we are in wisdom, and then again ignorance, time and again we are in wisdom, then again ignorance, so we will see that for a long time this pendulum like movement goes on. But when any discipline, if we are sticking to any discipline which brings wisdom, clarity, luminosity, then it is impossible that ignorance shows up again. If ignorance has shown its face again, it means that I have broken my discipline. Definitely, I have broken my discipline somewhere and fallen a trap to the older tendencies. So again and again we can re-establish ourselves in the knowing that which sees impermanence is not impermanent. That knowing which sees all the stuff happening, the stuff of consciousness happening, it's not impermanent. Impermanence can be only seen by something which is eternal. So this seeing, this knowing capacity that we have inherent in each one of us, again and again we know ourselves as that. This is what we call as detachment. And also, along with that, understanding the law of karma. For those of us who are interested, they can read Sri Aurobindo's uh, the thing about rebirth and karma. But shortly speaking, one part of it which is important for us right now here is that karma is the part of it that operates as a instrument of the divine, is law of cause and effect. And in one term, Sri Aurobindo also has agreed that this much we take in, because this we can't help, this operates. If I am putting my hand in the fire, it will burn, for example. So this is cause and effect. I cannot imagine that I am putting my hand in the fire and it's not burning. Of course, in the later stages, in yogic stages, one can even go beyond that. But for us, it is important to see that if I have anger in mind, if I have attachment in my heart, if I have aversion to people and to something in myself, then we cannot expect samatha to be there. We cannot expect that I have purity in the mind. With impurity, samatha cannot coexist. If I'm identified with impurity, then I cannot be in samatha. So that's the law of cause and effect that we have to see. It is in operation. If I do anything with a malicious intent, my mind immediately becomes clouded and I'm not able to easily come back to breath. Again and again I get lost in the thoughts, because again I have started to want something from this world. Lost the samatha. So these words like udasinta, which is like upeksha. Upeksha means, understanding is there, very well understanding is there, that the world cannot bring you any lasting contentment. Upeksha, Maitri, Mudita, Karuna, Upeksha. All these are uh, virtues to be cultivated, or antidotes to all the negative, disturbing states. Maitri is friendliness, like we were reading in Sri Aurobindo, and equality to everyone, friends or enemies. Maitri, mudita is joy, rejoicing if somebody is doing good job, if somebody has got that what you wanted, maybe some respect, fame, name, recognition that you wanted for yourself and somebody else has got it. How nice. May that person be happy. So rejoicing is mudita, and Maitri mudita. Karuna is compassion. When we go through our pain, when we understand our pain and turmoils of life, then we understand how other people also suffer, and we can extend our help and kindness and wisdom to help them, assist them, like somebody else may have assisted us. So, compassion and upeksha is indifference, kind of, in the sense that udasinta, that you very well understand that there is no expectation from the world, and anyway you are getting what you are getting from within yourself. Ease and peace is there within yourself. So there is upeksha. You're not doing anything with a lot of uh, personal interest, like this is going to get me something. There is a disinterested work, disinterested love, because the source has been touched within. And again, lots of discipline has to continue so that we continue to remain in that touch. We don't lose that taste. One thing which one can also think of contemplating whenever we are getting a little lazy or stupefied, and we lax in our practice, we are not disciplined, we can remind ourselves that life is short. Death can strike any moment, although of course we talk about superhumanity and that doesn't exist actually, and death is a bad habit. But right now we see that even the masters and yogis have to leave their body. They can't continue forever because the stuff of the body is like that it gets old. No matter what, it gets old, and then you have to wear it off. You have to take it off. So death can strike any moment. It's not that just we are getting old and that will strike who is older. It can strike any moment. So just like we were contemplating on impermanence, we also contemplate on death and how it can actually be very sudden. We know of people who were there yesterday and now ekdam say, right, we get to know that they are not there anymore. So if death can strike any moment, and we carry our mental states in the next life, whatever mental state we have right now, we carry it forward. That's where we start from. Then it's very, very important that we continue work incessantly. We continue the right states of the being incessantly. We continue dissolving the poisons of the being incessantly, knowing that death can strike any moment. So that can also be one of the points for reflection, contemplation, where we again get motivated to practice. Whatever is the mental imprint at the end stage of our life, when we are leaving the body, and we can leave the body anytime, that is what we carry forward. So we have to choose now where we want to start again from. Yeah. And I think towards the end, we can know for ourselves that if our practice is making us good human beings, if truly our intents are changing, not only the surface, but the intent in our mind is changing, if there is purity in the being, there is peace, ease, unalloyed joy that is present, and lesser of disturbing emotions are there. Even if they come, they just come and go, they don't stay long. And if they stay for long, at least we learn something positively, actively out of it. Then we realize that yes, the practice is helpful. Whatever I am practicing has been helpful, and I must continue. So for ourselves, this can be a test, an experiment for ourselves, whether anything is happening owing to my practice or not. And we will know when ease and peace are increasing. There is an enthusiasm, but that enthusiasm is not an agitated enthusiasm. So it is not a restless enthusiasm, it is just there at service, but it's not like over eager or agitated or enthusiastic, too in the intense vibration. Then it means that practice is working well and I must continue. And getting along well with the other people around us, even strangers, if we have a feeling of oneness with the strangers also that we have met for the first time, or our family members, we are keeping good relationships, harmonious relationships, that tells us that something good is happening through the practice. And I feel that personally, I feel very benefited by these steps in Buddhist tradition that they take of taking refuge in the gurus, the masters, the scriptures, then also doing the practice and then dedicating the merit of the practice to all the sentient beings. May they be well, may they be happy, may they not suffer. So I feel that it gives a very, it somehow purifies us, purifies our being. So to whoever it resonates, we can use it in our practice. So anything anyone wants to share or add over all these 3 days about your practice or anything?
Hi, Monica.
Yes, I can.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful reflections. I was resonating with it, and I was thinking that for some time in my life, I felt just a little bit like a little depressed or a little like I had all this baggage of spiritual knowledge about this non-attachment and I think I somehow confused this rejection of the world as samatha or something like that. And I, I work as a counselor and I listen to many people and sometimes, I find this also, and I was reflecting on that, like samatha is kind of positive. It shouldn't be confused with some, you say this like samatha cannot be expecting from the world and people to give us happiness, and that's true. But also it shouldn't be confused. If you are depressed or if you are rejecting life or seeking refuge from the outer life, that could be also thought as I don't expect from people or things
No, but
to make.
but there we will see that there is a trace of aversion, and whenever
Yeah,
aversion is there, then it's, of course, it's not in the same category.
yeah,
They don't go together. So attraction, repulsion, aversion, attachment seeing something as glitter, all these don't fall along with samatha. So yes, although
Exactly.
from far we can see, or maybe can get deluded that it may appear like samatha, but actually it's not that. And Sri Aurobindo clarifies that at several occasions, where he says that it's not like a passivity, it's different than. Because we see that, if you are saying that it's kind of a rejection of the world, in that rejection we will see that there is a kind of a little aversion that is present, that,
Yeah.
like a dislike that is present. And wherever likes and dislikes are there, again we have changed the ground. It's not the ground of samatha.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, anyone else wants to add on or share? At times in spirituality, as Yuan was sharing, that we confuse, we say that, oh, I like solitude and I don't want to talk with too many people. And although it is, in integral yoga, it is considered as one of the steps in the progress that you're wanting more solitude. But when we begin to do or seek solitude along with aversion, we don't realize that we are falling in the same category of attachment and aversion. Like, oh, I don't want this. So although for some time we may seek it for ourselves, and which is fine, which may be just a stage passing by, but again, liking solitude and not liking this thing falls in the category of, again, craving and aversion. So we have to be uh, cautious in that sense, that even if a trace of craving and aversion is there, we may appear like something else, but it's not what is happening within. Hmm. And we are our best judge. Actually, truly, if we are connected within ourselves, then we know what is happening in the being. Yeah, anything else? Okay, so if not anything else, then let's read something again. We'll listen to something from Sri Aurobindo. He talks about, earlier I was reading equality of the vital. Now he talks about equality of the heart. A free heart is a heart delivered from the gusts and storms of the affections and the passions, the assailing touch of grief, wrath, hatred, fear, inequality of love. I love this person better, and others not so much, for example. Inequality of love, trouble of joy, pain of sorrow fall away from the equal heart and leave it a thing large, calm, equal, luminous, divine. These things are not incumbent on the essential nature of our being, but the creations of the present make of our outward active mental and vital nature and its transactions with its surroundings. The ego sense, which induces us to act as separate beings who make their isolated claim and experience the test of the values of the universe, is responsible for these aberrations. So it is the ego which is responsible for these aberrations. When we live in unity with the divine in ourselves, in other words, actually, here we can say that when I am not identified with the surface movements, I am staying as the knowing, as the presence of awareness, as the presence of that consciousness which is conscious of everything. So, when we live in unity with the divine in ourselves and the spirit of the universe, these imperfections fall away from us and disappear in the calm and equal strength and delight of the inner spiritual existence. A free, happy, equal, and all embracing heart of spiritual feeling is the outcome of this perfection. So, again, like a test for us, a free, happy, equal, and all embracing heart. Now, an all embracing heart will not be aversive to anything. It will invite, it's like a vast open space. It invites all kind of creatures in that space. Ants can come, sloth can come, the dirtiest of the fellows can come, all the creatures can be there. And it's not saying no to any of them, that only you need one, you come here. No, not like that. So all embracing. In this perfection too, there is no question of a severe ascetic insensibility, an aloof spiritual indifference, or a strained, rugged austerity of self suppression. This is not a killing of the emotional nature, but a transformation. All that presents itself here in our outward nature, in perverse of imperfect forms, has a significance and utility which come out when we get back to the greater truth of divine being. Love will not be destroyed, but perfected, enlarged to its widest capacity, deepened to its spiritual rapture. The love of God, the love of man, the love of all things as ourselves and as beings and powers of the divine. A large universal love, not at all capable of various relation, will replace the claimant, egoistic, self regarding love of little joys and griefs and insistent demands afflicted with all the checkered pattern of angers, jealousies, and satisfactions. So here he says that it will be a transformation of love, not that the love has gone, it disappeared, to indifference or coldness. Rather than it become an all embracing love, which is not making any one or special person more special. It is like a wide, all embracing heart. Grief will cease to exist, but a universal and equal love and sympathy will take its place. Not a suffering sympathy, but a power which itself delivered is strong to sustain, to help, to liberate. All our emotional nature will undergo this high liberating transformation. But in order that it may do so, a perfect equality is the effective condition. So again, to have the equality of heart, to have the equality of vital, we need samatha. They all are going together. And also there is a wide, because when we even do the meditation, there is a vastness that we enter. First we narrow down ourselves on the breath. Mind stabilizes on the breath, and then when we see ourselves as awareness, nothing but awareness, we see it stretching in all beings, and all beings are seen as one, and their afflictions also are my afflictions. So there is a oneness. Somebody else's anger, hatred, vice is my vice. Sri Aurobindo at once in one of the thoughts and aphorisms, he says that my enemy's failure is, or my rival's failure is my disgrace, because we are not disconnected, we are all connected with each other, to that extent that in the theory of rebirth and karma, it also comes that if a father has done a misdeed, and if the father doesn't pay for that, somebody in the family will have to pay. So to that, and not only in the family, Sri Aurobindo also takes it to nation, that if in one of the nations the dictator or somebody did something which was not very nice, and if he did not have to pay fully for it, then the nation will pay. So it's so natural. He says that it's like a natural law of cause and effect, where since we are all one with each other, you cannot say that, oh, that person was angry, why should I pay for that, that person's anger, because that person is not that person. We are all one with each other. So each person's anger, attachment, aversion, we are all one in that. And if we have seen afflictions in our own self, then we understand about the sorrow that afflictions bring in other people also, and we can try to assist in whatever way. So cultivating, along with the removal of weed, we cultivate the positive virtues, the positive qualities, cultivation of compassion, cultivation of kindness. How we see that we suffer, people suffer, all of us suffer, and if we don't get a meal of even one time, how much it makes us, that we cannot concentrate if we are not eaten well properly in our day. It makes us like unstable. So how much people suffer. So to offer our help and support to whoever we can offer, to be kind, to be compassionate, uh, to offer a seat or a smile, or any little pure act of kindness which is coming through a pure intention. We have to fill our lives empty space with positive flowers, these virtues: compassion, wisdom, kindness, generosity. Whenever we see jealousy arise, the antidote to jealousy is generosity. Let the other person have what they want to have if it's making them happy. So to have a big heart, to rejoice in somebody's happiness, and to continue our practice. So shall we do some practice now? We have about half an hour. Yes, Rinku?
I was only asking if in my practice I understand that somebody else's afflictions are my afflictions. If somebody is extremely angry or extremely jealous, what can I do about it, as in to be able to make a positive difference in the other person's life also?
Mm-hmm. So we have many tools for this, whatever may resonate. But what I resonate most with is this one technique called Tonglin, which we have earlier also at times discussed maybe.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. So I feel that it purifies me also in the process, and it extends my prayer for that other person, because I know that just like I suffer in anger and attachment, the other person also ignorantly suffers in that. So what we do in this Tonglen is, when we sit down with ourselves quietly, we inhale their suffering like dark fumes coming into you. So if that person is suffering, full of anger, hatred, animosity, or whatever is the cause of suffering, I know you are suffering. We feel this person suffering, and we inhale. With the in breath, I inhale that suffering, and with the out breath, I exhale kind of a white light, or whatever you can visualize or not visualize. You pray for the person. May your heart be peaceful. May you be peaceful. May you be free from these afflictive emotions, and may your heart be peaceful. So when we are doing this process, we see for ourselves, we have to experiment. We see for ourselves that not only it uh, clears us, our being, out of any other remaining traces of ill will or negativity, but it also, like, we do our part well, because that's the best you can do. To a person who is angry or spiteful or revengeful, you cannot really force that person into spirituality, or you cannot force anything on that person, because the person is not open. And the best you can do is to have a very positive intent and to inhale the person's suffering. Now when I am inhaling the person's suffering or the sorrow that is there, at times we may feel fearful, but what feels fearful is the ego, because only ego is always wanting to have the happiness only for itself. So what we can do is, when we do Tonglin, we are actually dissolving our ego, that self-cherishing me, which always wants just this happiness for this little me. We are dissolving that ego. That inhale of suffering is dissolving our ego, dissolving our little self, because now nothing in me wants happiness only for myself. I want to extend it out for the other people also. So that little me is not there, or even if it is there, as Sri Aurobindo was sharing, it is subtilized, very subtle. It's not like wanting, craving. And hence it will become more easy for me to do Tonglin. So when we do Tonglin, it dissolves the whatever remaining ego that may be there in that situation, inhaling the suffering of the situation, exhaling peace, happiness, joy, creativeness, progress for the other person in the situation. May you be happy, may you be peaceful, may you not suffer, because now you have tasted that suffering. So I feel that Tonglin is a very powerful tool to expand our being into the other people, also know them as one with you, and also to purify our own self and extend our good wishes and goodwill and prayers to the others. So this
Yeah,
is what.
thank you for the reminder. Yeah.
Anything else before we start to practice? Okay, let's do it then. So we're just relax into a very comfortable position. Keeping all the world aside for this moment and bringing our attention to the incoming breath, outgoing breath, either in the tummy region, wherever you want to focus, either the going up and down of the tummy, or the in breath and out breath at the tip of the nose. Or how the body moves with the in breath and out breath. Remaining aware of the hindrances of the practice, tamas, sloth, laziness, sleep. If there are thoughts, they can be there. You don't have to be thought free. Just make a note of whatever thought comes and let it go. Even feelings, make a note, let them go. understanding the constant flux, constant change that is there in the universe, in the body at each moment. If the mind goes towards the object of the senses, just noticing them and letting it come back. Settling ourselves in a peace and ease which comes when the senses are not consuming. This peace is unconditional. It doesn't depend on the object of the senses. To rely upon this joy, this subtle delight which comes naturally when the senses are turned within. Making it longer, stabilizing the stability within, calming down all the restlessnesses, agitations, as we concentrate on the breath. Nothing the outer world can give that can be lasting. So we can stop running. If we move, we make note of that move. Staying connected to the breathing. Conscious of sensations in the body. If a happy thought comes, feel the sensation that it brings and how we cling to that sensation and crave it more and more. Which becomes the cause of our agitation, disappointment. Also notice if there is a thought which comes which is not so happy, how aversion gives also rise to a sensation in the body, which I don't like and hence want to run away from. Can I endure these sensations? Be conscious of them, just know them fully. Allow them to be there. Knowing the breath, knowing the sensations, knowing the knowing. If there is any restlessness, we just know it, we make a note of it. Any thought, making a note. Not losing the thread of the breath, stabilizing ourselves, keeping ourselves connected to the breath. And it is the breath through which I stay connected in the body and can get to know what's happening in the body through the sensations, acting out of craving, acting out of aversion, acting out of a neutrality. If there is no intense vibration that I can feel while I'm making a decision, I can be sure that I'm acting from a neutrality. If I feel intense vibrations when I'm connected in the body, better to stop, better to take a step back. Any action done out of negative intent, I add a burden on my mind. While a pure intent opens up the heart, releases all the burdens. I don't have to carry anything with a pure intent. If there are good experiences through meditation that we have, again seeing that we don't cling to those experiences. Just making a note and moving on. All the states are just states, they are not lasting. So becoming free even of spiritual gifts that we want from time to time. Continuing to practice and making a promise to ourselves to continue the discipline, especially when days are relatively good, we are not suffering much, we have time, we have space, we have the favorable conditions to practice. Making a discipline that I will continue the practice wherever I am, because it benefits me and benefits the others around me. And life is short, we don't know how much time we have for this practice. Not losing even a moment now that we understand what is to practice. losing all the hopes of our spiritual ambitions that we may have. Those are also ambitions. They make us agitated. Just sticking to the practice, simple, easy, knowing the 8 worldly concerns, how they affect us, how they make the mind so impure, and which is the same for every person, whether it's a king or a CEO or a sadhak for 20-30 years. Anger will make impure any mind. Attachment will make impure any mind, any heart. So we are all one in this sense also. Understanding the suffering of others when they go through anger, attachment, aversion, how it pains when we go through them. Dedicating all the goodness, the merit of our practice to all limitless sentient beings, each of whom wanting to be happy, wanting not to suffer. And for each sentient being, their own being is very, very precious. No one wants to be unhappy. Dedicating all the merit to the true happiness, true joy, true enlightenment of all the sentient beings. May they not suffer, may they be happy, may no one suffer, may everyone have a lot of progress in their life and lots of joy, unalloyed joy. And may we all be able to offer ourselves to the world in the most beneficial of ways. So from my end, I think that's it. We've shared enough. We have practiced this much that we can continue our practices if we want at home and continue to cultivate samatha and refuse anything that comes in front of us to promise something which we know that is a false promise, and we can refuse all those glitters and promises that come in front of us, and hence stabilize more and more in samatha and also transfer it to our surface being so that it becomes part of our outer nature also. So I think that's it from my side, and thank you everyone for being here and for giving this space. Thank you, James. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Monica.
Thank you.
Thanks, Monica. It's truly a delight. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I've shared a feedback form. I've
Thank
shared
you.
a feedback form with the group. So share your experience.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, all right. So happy practice,
Namaste.
all of us. Thank you. Happy
Bye.
practice.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.